very warm welcome to you all to the one-on-one set. In the studio tonight, we have with us a young writer, Javisth Bhugobaun. He has recently published a collection of poetry titled Rusty Words, and tonight, during this episode of One on One, Javisth will share with us more about his passion for creative writing and also for the world of literature. Javisth, thank you so much for joining us in the studio of the NBC.
Hi. Thank you for welcoming me and for the opportunity to present my book.
So, Javisht, you've recently published a collection of poetry titled Rusty Words. So, what does poetry truly represent for you?
Poetry is everything. It's a reason to live. It's beauty. It's a way for me to express myself, not only for to a public, because when I first started writing poetry, it was mainly to say things I couldn't express, like I couldn't talk it. So it
So, it's more
fascinated
like
me.
talking to your inner self. Is that what you're trying to
Yeah,
say?
yeah. In some way, it's that, and not just to my inner self, but ideas that comes to me, and also things around me that I live and I want to write about. I want to talk about it. This is what poetry, I would say, mean to
Yeah.
me.
So, your surroundings
Yeah.
influence your writing. That's what you're trying to say.
I think what around me influences everything, my whole life, and poetry just form part of it. It's very difficult to really find a good definition to it, like
Yeah,
what poetry actually means, because it forms part of it. It's in nature, it's in the cause that drives, it's in our soul.
totally. So, when did you discover poetry? How did you discover poetry?
So to be honest, I'm not a big reader. Ever since I was a kid, I never liked reading, but I was always fascinated by rhymes and alliterations, the technique they use in it. But it was not in poetry that I liked them, it was in rap music. So it was mostly with Eminem, Dr. Dre, Tupac, and other rappers that I was first led to poetry. But if I'm not mistaken, it's in ninth grade. I read a poem by Tupac Shakur. It was the first poem that I ever read, actually. It's The Rose That Grew from Concrete. And it was from there that I actually took an interest in it. Then I think I forgot about it all. And then when I was in 17 years old, yeah, at 17 years old, I started writing again. I really don't didn't have much to do, and I wanted to talk about things. And I liked to write rhymes at the time. Now, not really. But then I started writing again. And I met a teacher
Mhm.
named Amit Parmesa, and he kindled that in me. He he saw potential, and he helped me to master the art of poetry, to how to write better, how to express myself better, and showed me new techniques. And since I was studying English with him also at the same time, I was learning through those who wrote before me. The classics, Byron, Shakespeare, but also himself. He was a writer too, so his work also influenced me and really played a big role in me starting to writing.
So you write mostly poetry, not prose
No,
or
prose not
novels?
really my thing. No, no, I was stuck to poetry. Maybe maybe in a couple of years I'll give another try to prose, but it's not for now.
So creative writing is most like a passion for you, a hobby.
I mean, in some
So
ways,
otherwise, it's like a part of you. So where to
yeah,
escape
yeah.
to another world.
Look, it's in some ways, yes, it's a hobby. It's a hobby. It's something like in my daily life, but also it became part of me. Like maybe 2 years ago, I would say would be a hobby, but now it's like a part of my being. Like
Yeah.
I don't write every day. I don't write every week. Just when it comes to me, I won't force it out. I'll let it come, and when I'll get an idea, I'll just write it down. I won't rewrite anything the way that it is. I will change the typos, of course, but the poem in itself, I like it to raw, like it is, like it came out. I think that's the way. it should be.
Indeed. And you're actually taking it quite seriously because you're pursuing your tertiary studies in literature, right?
Yeah, yeah, and doing a BA in English at the University of Mauritius. So yeah, of course, I'm trying to be a teacher to try to do what my teacher did for me, to kindle that spark in other kids. And I don't know if you know that movie, Dead Poet Society.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those students there saw that movie and say, "Yeah, I'm going to do English and poetry," and that's one hell of a movie, man.
great.
That also played a big role. I mean,
Javisth, but you're so young and you already have a book already published. So talk to us about this collection of poetry, Rusty Words. What is it all about?
so Rusty Words, it's well to start with the title. At first, it wasn't that; it was something very cliche. But then I thought, like, that nail that's under the stairs that just stayed there for quite some time and became rusted, and we forgot about it. So to me, like these words stayed in my throat for so long that they became rusty. So I wanted to get them out. I wanted to express them. So hence the title, of course, Rusty Words. And for the content in it, we are not connected, but they are connected to me in some way because it's things that I've lived, things that I've experienced, that I saw, that I heard. So these poems, they they are what I saw.
But what really pushed you to write this collection of poetry?
So it's a funny story. I always, as someone who writes poetry, yeah, I always thought, hey, someday I'll put out a book maybe. But when I started this one, it was not like that. It was I was drinking with a friend, and we were just talking for a couple of hours, and we were a bit drunk. I'll be honest. And he asked me if I ever wrote poetry, and I said yeah. And I showed him some of the poem, the poem that I published a while back in some poetry magazine online. And he told me that, hey, why not publish a book? And then I was like, that's a good idea. We should do that. And he said, yeah, try it. And then the next day, yeah,
You started writing.
I started writing the book.
So it was very random.
Yeah,
It
it
wasn't
was
like you
around.
had
It wasn't
planning
like,
from
yeah,
before to start with that process of writing.
no.
Just like a friend gave you that idea and you started the next day.
Yeah, because I knew someday I would put out a book. Maybe when I would be 40,
40s, yeah.
not 20. So it was a rash decision. I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I would write about, neither the title, nothing. I'll just say, okay, I'll write a book. And I just started writing. Then, as I was writing, I was looking on how to do it, tutor on YouTube,
Yeah.
things like
But did you tell someone that you wanted to write a book? Like, how did you know the process for publishing and, all of that?
So I was a bit lost at first. Like, I know how to write, I know what to write. But the rest, I was confused, I would say. Then I met a friend that helped me with that. Well, she didn't know that much either, but she had an idea of what we should do. So as from there, we made a plan to, like, okay, we are writing a book, so we need to edit it. We need to proofread it. We need to have a cover. To have a cover, we need to get someone to make something, to make the cover, because we don't know how to do it. So we started looking up, like we went on Instagram, looking for artists. And the guy that designed the book, his name is Splash Bacon. He did the cover. He did the
Also
in-page, yeah,
illustrations.
the illustrations, the cover, the in-page editing. And yeah, there are 5 illustrations that are personalized according to the poems.
Okay.
So yeah, so we just went along with it. We didn't know where to print, how much it would cost, nothing. We just started out. Because I met a lot of people that write good, and they said that, hey, someday I want to put out a book. And I tell them, just do it. Because you just keep saying, hey, I want to, but I don't know how. Just
Yeah,
start,
sometimes
and
just
then you
important,
see
just
what
go with
happens.
it. Just
Yeah,
start.
yeah. Then you see what
Yeah,
will happen.
true. But now your poetry book, there are so many themes that
Yeah.
you've talked about. Solitude, hope, different themes. Talk to us about the creative process for writing about those themes, which I think are universal, right?
Yeah, I think some of the themes in the poem can be found in, I think, a lot of other poems since the dawn of time. The creative process for me is, I don't know how to explain it. I don't really have one. I just wait until it kicks in. I will wait maybe till the last minute. I'll sit there, or I will do anything else. Then I'll just have an idea and I'll type it in my notes, and then I will put it on my computer. So I don't really have a particular process
Yeah.
on what I should write. I'll just wait for an idea to come to me. I won't look for it.
But
But there's something that I do. It's sometimes I like a good challenge, so I will look. I will want to try a certain structure that I'm like, okay, it's not three verse. Like for example, a sonnet. I know, okay, I got only 14 line and 10 syllables per line, plus a volta at the ninth line. I need to write something in that. Then I'll go and I'll do that. So things like that. Or maybe I write a haiku to. Sometimes I want to write something long, but I'll say no. Okay, maybe I'll write it and put it aside. Then I'll change it into a haiku, because sometimes the challenge is good. It's to see like how good can I actually write in
you
terms of technique.
you don't really rewrite the
No, I
book.
don't.
You don't.
Not very, except when I'm looking for that challenge. That's it. But no, I don't. I just check the typos. That's it.
Okay.
The way that it comes, I think it should just be like that. It's something that I've learned from Bukowski. He talked about that, like you should not just force yourself to write things that everybody just writes every day.
So
Just let it come.
So, for your poems, do you actually intend in that way to show the chaotic state of mind of individuals?
No, not really. I'm not really thinking about anything when I'm writing them in particular. I just let it flow, the idea, whatever it's coming, I'll just jot it down. I'll just keep writing and writing and writing. Sometimes I'll see, okay, that line, it's not really fitting. It's very rarely though. I'll change it. Or I'll just remove that line if I see it's really a problem, or it's coming out of nowhere. Sometimes you get that in your head. Like you're writing, for example, an essay. You're writing an essay, then there's a random idea in the middle. That maybe I'll remove it. But when I write, I like something that comes from the heart. I don't want something that's been seen again and again, because
Yeah.
you see that every day.
So, like you've told us
Mm,
that you most like to go with the flow.
yeah.
It's when an idea comes to you, that's when you're going to write. So, what are the experiences that have helped you, to get the piece of writing and write the poems?
I think it's everyday life. It's basic. It's just everyday life. Sometimes it's movies, sometimes it's people you see on the road, sometimes it's that homeless guy nobody cares about. Sometimes it's that when you're walking at night and that prostitute under that blinking light, that people you just don't really notice. It's that's been there. Things that I've lived mostly. So I cannot say in particular what it is, but I would say that it's my life.
Yeah.
It's the emotions that I felt. It's what I saw around me. Yeah.
So, how does it feel, to have this poetry book published at such a young age? Does it validate yourself as an author? Or do you feel like pressure you have to deliver uh, for other for later as well?
The thing is, when I was writing the book, at first I was not stressed, but I was lost a little bit. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? Like it was after the drunk episode. But when I was actually writing, sometimes I felt like maybe I should not. Even when I already started writing it and did the cover, I had that idea. I should abandon this project, maybe. But the closer I got to the goal, I thought that, maybe I would be happy afterwards. Maybe there would be that, like you said, that sense of fulfillment. The thing is, after I published it and sold some copies and got reviews and everything, it never came. It was mostly I felt empty because when I was close to it, it was some another emotion. But when I did it, it was nothing. It meant nothing to me. I felt empty. Like, what now? What do I do? I
Yeah.
thought I would do it when I would be 40. So what do I do now? So I just, I didn't write for quite a while after that. I just took a pause with it. But I think it goes back to, if I'm not mistaken, Spinoza, I think. Oh, okay, I need to think about this.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's Spinoza that said something like, "Our life will always be between sadness and boredom."
Hmm.
So it's really like, okay, I'm not able to write that book. I'm sad. I'm depressed. I did it. What now? I'm bored. You know.
Do you want your writing to evolve now? You started writing when you were 17, right? Your first piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you see the evolution of your writing now that you are in your 20s? Is there a different
Yeah.
voice?
Yeah. It's very different. I mean, the poem that I wrote last week is very different from something that I write today. It's very different. It always keep on changing. You always keep getting better. You cannot perfect it. You'll never be able to, but you can get better at it. When I read my first poems, I mean, it was okay, but it's not something that I would want to publish today. So, and even my style, it kept changing all over those years that I wrote. There was never something fixed.
Yeah. So in your book, we've noticed that you don't use color. It's black and white.
Yes,
Was that
yes.
intended? The cover.
Yeah, it's so surprising, if it's color when you print it, it costs much more. It was also I had the idea of color, but then I was like, it will be a bit more expensive, and this one looks good, so let's go with it. Yeah.
And Javish, talk to us about the challenges that you've encountered while writing this book, publishing it, and how did you overcome them?
The writing process was not a challenge really. I just had to write. I'm used to it. That was okay. I just waited for the idea to come. For the publishing part, I want to say that the reality of it, that every people thinks, is that it's very complicated, but it's not that complicated. It is not. It is challenging. It is difficult, but it's not complicated. It's like an exam. It's difficult, but you just got to go through it. Uh, like I said before, for the cover and the editing of the pages inside, I found an artist named Splash Bacon that did it for me, and like the work, it's great. It's beyond what I expected, and even the illustrations too. And what was a bit like complicated, I would say. No, it's not really complicated, but
You enjoyed it, the
no, not
process.
no. I
You
did
didn't
not.
enjoy it? It
No, it's stressful.
was stressful.
It is a bit stressful because like now if you tell me to do it, I won't be stressed. I know what to do. At that time, because I didn't really know where to turn to. Because I went to publishing houses in Mauritius, but it's really expensive. It's really expensive, and I'm just a student, so
Yeah.
it's difficult. Then you say, okay, I don't have money, that much money to put in that. So I went to self-publishing, of course. Then I was like, okay, I need to look for a printer. You may feel that, yeah, it's very complicated. Where do I print it? Then take a you take a PDF of a book, like 2 pages. Then you just go through every printer there is in your locality. You just go and you check. You take a quotation. You got to do this. This is the grinding part. You have to look for it. Nobody will hand it over on the plate. You have to go look for people. You got to look for help sometimes. It's not
Yeah.
complicated.
Yeah. And Javisht, what do you hope that your readers take or feel after reading your poems?
Well, I hope they feel an emotion and they were like, okay, it's worth my money. So at least that. And, well, I hope they, to some extent, I hope they can relate to it. I hope they can understand because, poetry, people don't really care about it. We don't care about poetry until we feel depressed, until we're sad, until we've lost someone. Then we don't know where to turn to. So we turn to poetry. We turn to Edgar Allan Poe. So I hope they were able to find a place in between these lines.
And we are actually drawing towards the end of this episode. But before that, Javisht, please read to us a favorite piece of poem
Sure.
in that collection.
Okay. So it's a poem. The title is "Do Not Fear the Darkness of the Night." Do not fear the darkness of the night. Cries howling above the wind. Close, close your heart to their fright, for they will pluck the fruits that you plight, because their hearts have not burned with light. Do not fear the darkness of the night. Mock wise men playing on might, lament on what they could have had. Close, close your heart to their fright. Full moon echoes light, and their shadows creep on your walls. Do not fear the darkness of the night. And you, in the abyss of your mind, curse or bless, walk your path. Have the courage to suffer. I pray, do not fear the darkness of the night. Close, close your heart to their fright.
Wonderful, Javish, wonderful. It was a delight to have you on the set tonight and learn more about your passion for words and about your wonderful book as well.
And thanks a lot for inviting me and giving me that opportunity to present my book to the world. Thank you.
Dear viewers, we have now come to the end of this episode. Thank you for your time. We hope to catch you next week at the same time, same channel. Have a great evening.